rest of your brain. Now I'm going to show you how you can manage your fieldwork. We are using the QFieldCloud API and using QFieldCloud. My name is Ivan Ivanov. I work for OpenGIS.ch. We are a company based in Switzerland. We are recognizable for several things that we do. One is QGIS development, QField and QFieldCloud, but also some other web applications, consultancy, and everything around geospatial. One more thing about me. Actually, 5 years ago, I started a project for synchronization of data from your mobile application to a cloud server and to the desktop, and that was called QFieldCloud. So nowadays, I'm the lead developer and the product owner of QFieldCloud. So if you have any questions, yeah, I think I will try to answer them. Good. How many of you have used QFieldCloud before? Okay, a few, so probably I need to spend a little bit more time to explain what is QFieldCloud and what you can do with it. In short, this is a tool to allow you to do seamless fieldwork using open source technologies, QGIS on the desktop side and QField on the mobile side. So QFieldCloud is responsible to manage your project, your data in your project, and also all the settings about your QGIS project and later QField project, and also allows you to give fine-grained permissions and access to different parts of the application with the concept of users, teams, and organizations. If you're familiar with this concept from other apps such as GitHub, you probably know what I'm talking about. So you can assign as a person in the office, hey, Ivan, you go to this fieldwork. Hey, Matthew, you go to that fieldwork project. QFieldCloud also provides data versioning. So when you upload new data to QFieldCloud, you store amount of older versions of the file from before. And the topic that we're going to talk now are the API integrations. So it allows you to have your own app in your organization and to interact with the API and use QFieldCloud as a platform for the field data collection, and then you do the rest of your processing or whatever you have to do in your own app. A few more words. App QFieldCloud is the default software as a service that is provided by OpenGIS. We are based in Switzerland, so we're following the quite strict data protection laws in there, and also using App QFieldCloud allows us to have a sustainable revenue and to reinvest again in the product. And here I mean QField and QFieldCloud itself. We also provide dedicated on-premise installations. So if you are nervous that your data is going to be stored somewhere in Europe, you can ask us and we can provide a dedicated on-premise installation. Or if you're adventurous enough, you can also host it yourself. It's an open source solution, so you can clone it and install it on your server. It's a Docker-based application. There are 10 or so services that are running to make the whole thing working. So yeah, and the README is up to date. I think the last person that tried was like a week ago, so it should be easy to make it run on your machine. I'll quickly go over 2025, what we did in QFieldCloud. One thing for people that have been following QFieldCloud for longer is that we changed our versioning system, and we did 35 releases this year, which is twice as much than last year, and which was twice as much as the previous year. So you can see that there's some momentum that we already gained, probably increasing the workforce behind QField and QFieldCloud helps a bit. The service itself is used by 9,000 unique users every month to do their fieldwork. And there are some interesting things that we added. If you have came across QFieldCloud from before, we made QFieldCloud much faster when you have a lot of files in your projects. So if you have a fieldwork where your fieldworker have to do a lot of pictures of whatever they are collecting, files can accumulate quite fast. And before we were a little bit sluggish with a lot of files. Now this is solved. And this was very big refactoring that we did actually, and it opened the opportunity for some other nice features such as shared datasets. Do you know what localized datasets means in QGIS? No? Okay, that's a hidden gem in QGIS, and we support it with slightly different name shared datasets. So imagine that you have multiple QGIS projects, but all of them are using orthophoto of Oakland, which is like 20 gigabytes or so. So instead of copying the same file in each of the projects, you can store them in one location or on one shared drive for all your organization. And in QGIS, you can configure the shared data, the localized datasets or the shared datasets, and all the projects will pick the information from the air. So this is going to save you a lot of bandwidth because you don't have to transfer it all the time, and also it's going to save you a lot of space because these files are usually quite fat and big. We did some changes around organization and user, around secrets, which is the way how you configure QFieldCloud to connect to your PostGIS database. Because QField supports offline mapping. So imagine if you go in the middle of nowhere where there's no network coverage, but your data is usually stored on a PostGIS, there's no internet connection. So what we do on QField is that we prepare an offline geo package, which is then downloaded on QField. You do your field mapping using this geo package, and in the end of the day, you synchronize it back to QFieldCloud. And QFieldCloud is responsible to make sure all these individual changes are applied in your PostGIS. And the way how you manage the connection between QFieldCloud and your PostGIS is using secrets. So now we added organization level secrets, which means if you have one organization that has multiple projects, you can manage them in one centralized place. And the thing that is about to be released, hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks, is login via Google. However, QFieldCloud already supports OpenID Connect for authentication. So yeah, those are some of the highlights, but there are much, much more, and all of these are thanks to all the users that are using QFieldCloud. Good, so that was a short introduction of what we're going to talk about, and now I'm going to show you how you can integrate with QFieldCloud, how you can use it as your platform for field data collection. We provide a RESTful API that is documented using OpenAPI or Swagger, so we're going to see it in a bit. You can use a command line interface, which is coming together with our QFieldCloud SDK, or you can use the Python SDK directly and code your stuff around it. And if you're enthusiastic, you can also build on top of QFieldCloud. Internally in OpenGIS, we already have 2 applications that are using QFieldCloud as a platform for not only for the field data collection, but also for processing large amounts of data, managing QGIS projects, synchronizing between different parts, and so on. Now we're going to cover mostly the API part and the SDK. So the QFieldCloud API is available on app.qfieldcloud/Swagger, and here, if it opens, yes, you can see all the API endpoints that we have. The project is around 5 years old, and there are very few things that were deprecated, so we're still at API version 1. Our main effort is to keep everything backwards compatible. So you can be sure, not sure, but ensured, at least verbally, that we try our best not to introduce any breaking changes. You can see here is one deprecated API, but pretty much everything it's already there. So the main entity on QFieldCloud is our projects. There are QGIS projects with a QGZ or QGS file with all the geo packages, attachments, whatever it's in there. These projects, they can be owned by users or by organizations. So here you see the organizations and the users API. And then on these projects, you can run some kind of processing or preparation also for the field work. So we call these jobs, and this is also exposed as API here. And we store all these changes that are made on QField as small deltas, and we also have the delta API. There are also some other nice things. If in your organization you already have an authentication and authorization framework, you can connect the two, and you can manage the collaborators of your project via the API. Good. Let me go back in my presentation and show you, okay, we saw the nice web UI, how you actually use it. Well, the most basic thing, and let's use curl. I mean, curl works almost everywhere. If we copy paste this, I created a small user for today, and I open my terminal and I leave my microphone here. And we do live demo. Yeah, so we see there is a JSON response. So this can be used either directly raw like this, or later we're going to see how we can use the SDK to interact with it. The nice thing is that everything's in JSON, so you have a parser in pretty much any language. Okay, so this was quite ugly with curl. So we are going to use the QFieldCloud SDK, which is a less known way how we can interact with QFieldCloud. One thing that I didn't say actually in the beginning is that the API that I just showed you is the very same API that we use on the QGIS plugin to make everything working and on QField. So we have the best interest to keep the backwards compatibility and to make sure that it works all the time. So if you interact with the SDK or if you interact with QField, it doesn't really matter. It's pretty much the same data moving back and forward. So you can install it from pip. And let's go back to my terminal and see how this looks like with QFieldCloud CLI, -- help. You see that there are quite a few commands that are available there. Log in, log out, list projects, get projects, delete files, upload files, collaborators, and so on and so on. So let's log in now using the CLI and do a little bit of stuff there. Okay, I run the same curl command from before, but in a much nicer way without all the headers and boring stuff around. So, of course, it's a live demo. Okay, do I have network? Max retries, blah, blah, blah. Live demo. Which I can assure you that it worked half an hour ago here. Okay, anyway, if we log in, we're going to see the output that we see down there. So basically, welcome your user, and then we see environment variable that is suggested for us to be exported, which is going to be our token. And once we have this token, we can interact with the API and do whatever we need to do. Alternatively, if you don't want to expose environment variable, or if you're not able to do so, you can pass the username and the password all the time, and you can call different commands. So the first one that we are going to see, and it's not going to work unless my login now magically works. Does it? No? Okay. So is that we are listing projects, and by default, when we list a project on a new account, because this account is just created, we see that there are no projects created yet. However, we can create project at any point of time. So we pass QFieldCloud, create project, the description of this project. We say that it's going to be a private project, and we call it tree survey. So once we run this command, we see the output, which is going to be, okay, this is the project ID, this is the project name, this is the owner of this project, and so on. So once we have this project, which is empty on QFieldCloud, it would be nice to add some files in there, right? So what we do is QFieldCloud upload files, and then we say what is the project ID of our project, and we say which is the directory we want to upload to QFieldCloud. The one thing that you have to remember is that QFieldCloud wants you to have only one QGIS project for a QFieldCloud project, because otherwise it will get confused, which is the main QGIS file. So make sure that you put all your files in one directory, and there's only one QGIS project file. So once you start uploading, you see uploading 1, 2, 3, 5, in this case 13 files, and once they are uploaded, you can interact with them. When you are uploading a new file on QGIS, on QFieldCloud, and this file is a it's a file that's it's a QGIS project. There is a special thing that triggers behind the scenes. It's a job that opens your QGIS project and extracts all the information from there. So what are your layers? What is your symbology? What are your fields? And so on and so on. So it's important to know that every time you upload a QGIS file, this happens. And that's the reason why you see that uploading bees.qgs is the last one in this example. So the CLI automatically knows to upload it in the end. Good. So this is the command line, but I also said that there is a Python SDK. And the CLI is actually powered by the Python SDK. And you can use it as simple as this. Import the SDK, create a new client, and then log in. Once you log in, the token is automatically assigned to the current client, and you can start doing stuff on top of it. So, for example, if you want to list all the files that have already been uploaded to QFieldCloud, you call list remote files, you pass the project ID of the one that you're interested in, and you get a list of all the files. One thing that I mentioned in the beginning is that QFieldCloud is versioning all your files. So here, pay attention that there is this versions key, and you're going to see all the versions that are stored by QFieldCloud. There are also some other nice stuff for you, like the checksum of the file. So if you want to build some additional comparison in your app or in your script or whatever, you can use the checksum from there instead of moving the file back and forth without the need to do so. Okay, I go a few slides back because this is one thing that I wanted to show you. That the CLI, if you pass --JSON, is going to show you not the human interface of the command line method, but it's going to show the JSON, which later you can parse with JQ or whatever you need. Okay. Good. So why this is nice? So imagine that you have your attachments that are collected by your field workers, and you want by the end of the day to do some batch processing of all these images. Let's say, I don't know, you want to make them smaller, or you want to restart the project from scratch every day, so you dilute the data and they're not confused from their previous work, and so on. So you can create a cron job that runs every day in this case, at 8:47. And here I say, okay, download the files, filter all the JPEGs, and download them to a directory that is called TMP FOSS4G 2025. And this will make it available for you, and later you can do whatever you want. If you write it as a cron job using the QFieldCloud CLI, or if you have a custom Python script, or if you have your own SDK written in your favorite language, it doesn't really matter. It's all going to work for you. All of these that I'm talking so far, if I was not doing a live demo, I could also show you, is described here in the SDK documentation. So besides the boring part of describing every single parameter and so on, there are some practical examples. So you can see how to log in, create a project, list your projects, upload files, delete files, and so on and so on. So it's really hands-on, and we try to do it for both Unix-like users with bash commands and also PowerShell commands, which hopefully are not so different in most of the cases. Okay, I need to go back. Okay, and two success stories that I want to share with you for people that were using QFieldCloud in their environment and not only QFieldCloud but also the API integration. A few years ago, there was a big eruption that happened not so far from here, or actually quite far from here, but compared to Europe, not so far. Hunga, Tonga, Ha'apai, if I remember the name, some of the islands of the country were devastated. And luckily, there was already a project from Australian University to collect data about the farmlands, and they were later processing this data using QField and QFieldCloud for the collection itself. And after the eruption, it turned out that this was one of the best data that they had for later compensation of the people. And they needed to do additional processing of the collected data, so they used the QFieldCloud the QFieldCloud API to download it, to process it, to re-upload, and so on. And for reasons, they were using R, and they created their own SDK to interact with the API. Okay, and there is one more example. It's a company, a small company based in north of Italy that are doing maintenance of trees. So they have their own system written in Java that has already prepared schema for all the inventory that they have to do for trees and other park amenities. And in their interface, they added a button that actually creates a new geo package, uploads it to QFieldCloud, then assigns the right people to that project, and then they can open QField and use it for their field work. Good. So yeah, I was talking a few things here, and you're probably, I don't know, you have questions and comments and so on. Drop us an email or write to the community, or we are around, we have a booth down there, or use the opportunity right now to ask any questions. There is also, I saw that not everyone was aware of QField and QFieldCloud. On Friday, we're going to do another presentation for these two products, which is going to show the latest development in both products and also what is upcoming. So feel free to join Friday at 10 a.m. with me and Matthew that is sitting back there. And yeah, thank you for your time and attention. Do you have any questions or comments? Yes?
What's it using for storing the data? Kind of, is it a Postgres or?
Yeah, okay. So QFieldCloud as an online web system is using Postgres for itself, but it's for itself, for the users, for the projects and whatsoever. But the actual data that is stored on QFieldCloud, the geospatial data, can be stored either in a file-based format, like a geopackage, shapefile, or whatever, or on a PostGIS infrastructure that is provided by you. So your organization has its own Postgres, so then you need to make sure that QFieldCloud can connect to your infrastructure, and this is where the secrets kick in. You can use it, yes. However, if you go out of reach of network, then you're going to have problems.
They can collect the data offline, and when they come back, and as soon as they're online, they can push it up, no?
If you use QFieldCloud, yes, you can prepare an offline copy of the data. Yeah. If you don't use QFieldCloud, then there is another approach that you prepare a project that is doing this offline copy, but then you have to transfer it via email, WhatsApp, Pigeon, whatever, and then you can synchronize back. So QFieldCloud is preventing you from, saving you from this extra work of using WhatsApp. Yeah. Yes? Yeah,
and QFieldCloud and the QField app are two different things, right? I can use QFieldCloud alone, for example, with my own app.
In theory, yes. In theory, you can use you can use QField without QFieldCloud, for sure. Using QFieldCloud without QField means that you have to re-implement half of QField already. Yeah, but yes, you can. You can use it actually without the need for fieldwork. You can use QFieldCloud for a platform to share projects between different QGIS instances. Yeah. Like a Dropbox for QGIS projects. Yes. One more thing for the question that was there about where do we store the data. The QGIS projects and the geo packages and the pictures that you take on the field or audio or whatever it is, you can, by default, we store it in object storage or S3, whatever you call it. Starting from this year, with all this file development that we did, you can, on-premise installations, you can choose different storage. So it can be also your local file system, it can be Dropbox if you want, it can be WebDAV, and that's something interesting that we added recently, that your main files are stored in object storage, so like the geo package, the QGIS file, but the attachments can be stored on a WebDAV. So if they're stored on WebDAV, it means that they're automatically available for QGIS and for your WebGIS and whatever. Yes, but QFieldCloud will operate with its own cloud storage, just to be operating. Yeah. What we are discussing internally is if and how do we allow users to configure their own storage for QFieldCloud, so where all these files are stored. Yeah. But if this is going to come, there are still some technical challenges to be discussed and to answer. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.